Hello and welcome everybody to 2024 Day 1 of the NACL Spring Split. I'm Kanks, I'm joined by Joshi to bring you the action on the first day, and a warm welcome to everybody joining us from LCS because, Josh, this year we start after the LCS. We both get the weekend spot. Let's go.
I'm so excited, honestly. We finally have an opportunity to get these players in the times that they want to be playing in as well. And I can't wait to welcome all of you guys coming in for the first time. I know this is not necessarily what you were expecting, but this is where you get to see the future of the LCS. And you come here so you can brag to your friends when all the new players get promoted.
Exactly. You would have known about the 5 rookies that already played their first games in LCS today. Shout out to the rookies, by the way. They had a fantastic win rate. Sniper got the win. Meech as well. So 100 Thieves, well done from them. Masu looking pretty good. So we got a pretty good track record right now, Josh.
I can't wait to see what else they're doing, right? We got a lot of exciting players that just moved up, and I know Rafa's very excited to tell you all about Dignitas's new jungler XU. But for now, we got some other new players because, you know, that is the future of the LCS. This is the future of the future of the LCS, Steve. We got so many cool players coming in, and we're going to be starting off with a bang.
Yeah, the first matchup here. We were talking before going live, and this is 2 teams that you hold very highly. I wasn't bold enough to make any public statements about power rankings or making a tier list or anything, but you had both of these first teams very high on your tier list. Tell me why, Josh.
I do. So we got to talk about who they are, and the first team that we're going to be talking about today is going to be FlyQuest Challengers. These guys are a team that a lot of people have put in, if not the top tier, then sometimes an entire tier of their own. That's how strong people are looking at this team coming in, because we have multiple people that we know had opportunities to try and play LCS this year, but unfortunately, with a couple of teams dropping, they were not able to find a spot, and they're going up against the defending champions in Disguised, and we know that these guys are coming in to fight. They've built up another very strong roster, and we'll get to see a potential top 4, maybe even finals match on day 1.
Yeah, Disguise having a lot of viewership as well. People love to cheer on this team. Shout out to Toast for putting it together and coming back for another year. I believe we're going to take a look at the schedule, though, of the day. Format changes that we're going to talk about as well, because we are no longer in best of 2 formats in the NACL. We are now in best of 3. So these are the 2 best of 3s that we will see today. FlyQuest Challengers versus Disguise, a very hype matchup. And then Team Liquid Honda Challengers going up against a wild card to close out the day. Now, that one you can't sleep on either, because we have both of the LCS affiliate Challenger teams playing today, Josh, to kick us off. They both committed. Yep, we're going to come back for a second year. We are committed to developing these players.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see that we get FlyQuest back. We'll talk a little bit more about the roster, just because it is so exciting. And I gotta say, one of my favorite things about all these rosters that we look at, Steve, is I was a big fan of all the O's rosters back in the day, back when they had alliterative names. We got the exact same thing coming out here with the FlyQuest Challenge. We got Surdy, Shaden, and Sajid.
Oh, we do!
All coming in the triple S, ready to take some names. And these are
Does
all
an SH count for alliteration? I don't think that counts, right? It's like linguistically, you're making a different sound.
That's a good question. We'll leave that one to the linguists. We just know that these are 3 of the most exciting players in the league right now. Yes. And to start off with, I think we got to start with the people that everyone is already familiar with. Surdy and Shaden were some of the linchpins of the Evil Geniuses time last year, when they had opportunities to showcase everything that they were trying to do, and they really clicked towards the end of their season, which is how they ended up getting second with the Evil Geniuses Challengers.
And we also want to highlight them because full expectation was they would have played for Evil Geniuses LCS roster if that team still existed in the LCS. We went down from 10 to 8 teams in the LCS League, and these are unfortunately 2 of those players that we were expecting to play LCS. Our eyes are going to be on them. How good do they look now? They're still competing in the NACLs, but because there's that LCS caliber potential that we've seen in them, and the belief from coaches' staff that, yep, we can promote them as well, that means we kind of hold them to a higher level than a lot of the developing players that are coming in.
But we can't discount the developing players just quite yet, Steve. One of my favorite players that we're looking at so far in this entire league is their new AD carry, Sajid. If you watched the LCS today, you got to see Masu. Sajid. Well, okay. We can talk about
it from the man himself. It's Sajid.
All right, Sajid. The emphasis on the Sa. Anyway, if you watched the FlyQuest Challengers earlier today, you saw Masu on his signature Senna. Sajed is a player that we are expecting to potentially follow in his footsteps. He looks very similar to how Masu did a year ago, where he was not necessarily the most lane-dominant player, but he finds angles in team fights that almost nobody else even looks for. And so, if we can see that refine over the course of this split this year, we might see another quick promotion from the FlyQuest roster.
A lot of reasons to be excited about FlyQuest. It's cool that he is on the same org as well that just promoted Masu. Interesting, they're doubling down on developing NA 80 carries over at FlyQuest. So eyes on Sajid, seeing where they go. DSG, also an exciting roster. We'll get them on our screens once we get into pick and ban, which should be starting soon here. But I'm going to delay talking about them for a bit because I want to touch on one other format change before we get into draft. You're going to notice that the screen might look a little different throughout the best of 3. That is because we're in Fearless Draft now. We haven't touched on that yet, Joshi. If you're at home and you're unsure what that means, if a team picks a champion, say game 1, they lock in Aatrox top, whether they win or lose, they cannot play Aatrox again for the rest of the series. Team B could lock it in later on, but Team A cannot play a duplicate champ throughout the best of 3. The idea being this will encourage champion diversity and the developing players to expand their champion pool. It really changes the strategy in pick and ban as well, as I'm hearing that we are getting ready for that right now.
Yeah, and as we get into it, it gives us a perfect opportunity to talk a little bit about how Disguise is going to be looking at it. We already talked a little bit about their opponents and FlyQuest Challengers, but now it's time to start looking at the Disguise. And it's another situation where as we get the draft on the screen, we're going to be looking at the top lane first and foremost. Tenacity is a player that you guys should all recognize from his time with 100 Thieves in the LCS. And he's coming back down. Every single time Tenacity has played in the Academy/Challenger scene, he's kind of been that guy, right? Like, he's going to walk up, he's going to body somebody in lane, and he's going to create so much pressure in the side of the map. There's not a whole lot that most other top players can do about it. Surdy, though, is one of them. And then, of course, he's backed up by Perry, who came off of a fantastic split with Cincinnati Fear, where they were able to make top 4, and we know he likes pathing towards the top side. We've seen what he can do when moving away from Manui and leaving him to his own devices. This is a perfect storm for Surdy Shaden and Tenacity Perry to absolutely throw some fisticuffs.
I'm excited for the Perry Tenacity combo in particular for the reason you just highlighted. We know Perry likes to play to the top half of the map, and Tenacity, if he gets a lead, can carry. Question being, we also set up that Surdy, Shaden are at that level where they could make the jump up to LCS if they're given the opportunity. So our eyes will be mostly on the top half. So far, pick and ban has been focused on the opposite side. This is a very new meta, 14.1b, and a lot of bot lane focus. Lucian, Kalista, Senna, Seraphine. These are classic Manui bans, by the way. Manui has this kind of odd champ pool, as you were highlighting. Perry plays the top half because Manui likes to play enchanters and AP champions in the bot lane and play more weak side early.
Yeah, that said, I'm kind of a little bit happy that we see Azir picked this early in the draft, because that means that we aren't going to see him from Disguise in the next game, just because he's not allowed to do it! So we're already going to be going out. That one is going to be gone from Disguise for game 2, but it has been a power pick kind of across the world over the past couple of days. You create a lot of pressure in the mid lane, you've got some really good tools to go for a lot of different team fights, you have some playmaking ability, and now it kind of makes me think that we're probably going to be expecting a Corki to be coming out from Quad.
Oh, you think we're fully back? We have seen a few Corkis played globally, even in LCS earlier today, but no, it's instead Rumble and Vi. Now, I was watching a lot of Champs Q games that were played on the live patch, so I have a pretty good understanding of how a lot of these champions interact with the new items. The Vi is going to want to go, I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but you get an extra big... There we go. Extra bit of damage on that first hit. Rumble loves the new Leandrius because they removed the mana component, and you just get stats that Rumble wants to have now. So Rumble has been very high in priority, and it will be going against the Cassante.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the good old days for Rumble, right? Back when Leandrius was just health and AP, was the perfect item to build. Now he can go with everything else that has been so exciting in this edition. Or, not this edition, in this season. Oh, boy.
Oh, you've been playing too much of another game in the offseason. Also, I want you to know, the second I pulled up my side monitor where I have the patch notes, Under Sky was the first item on the screen. So
nice.
It was right there. Xin Zhao locked in too. Now, we've already seen this a lot, especially on blue side. I've been talking to some of the supports and 80 carries in the NACL.
Oh, yeah.
The general consensus is bot side for red is very weak and very diveable. and Xin Zhao being in the meta only expands on that. So I'm looking at Perry, usually plays at the top half of the map, but has the option, depending on what they draft for Manui and Poom, to play bot lane instead.
And already seeing this kind of power pick coming out from Perry with his ability to play towards a lot of these dives means that Sajid and Chime do need to be a little bit more careful with the champions they are trying to bring, but they're also banning. Wait, this is 4 bans already targeted at Manui. They really think that he is going to be one of the weaknesses in the pick ban coming out for Disguised. And, I mean, we've been seeing a little bit of Ziggs, but this is definitely a specialization coming through. And honestly, I'm a bit surprised here, Steve, because while Ziggs can get a lot of pushing in, he's not necessarily the kind of person who's super good at going for the dives. He's the kind of person who's like, yeah, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to throw big bombs at your turret to slowly chip it away, but with 5 bans already targeted at Manui, this is as good of a situation you could possibly ask for Sajid and Chime.
Now, if we're looking at what has been played a lot in Champs Queue, as well as globally early on in the season, we're looking at maybe things like the Aphelios start to come up. I'm looking at Manui's champ pool as well and what he's played in the past. I feel like that could be on his radar here. We're not seeing a lot of these scaling champions. I probably see a Varus from Sajid early on if it's not banned here. Okay, it's the Aphelios ban actually on blue side. So maybe Varus for Sajid, and then Manui's going to have to go really deep into that 80 carry pool.
Yeah, it's really interesting to come through. I mean, with 8 bans targeted towards the bot lane roll at this point, Manui has to dig really deep. And I mean, it's hovering at the Ezreal right now. This would fit in with the idea of we're pathing towards the top half of the map. We're not necessarily playing towards the Ezreal, which is what we're kind of expecting. But it also does kind of limit some of their ability to go for some of these easy dives with this Ezreal coming through. You have to expect some poke is there as well, and it is going to be the Karma. So lots of power coming through in the bot lane, but it's not necessarily the kind of power that you're going to be going for dives with. Instead, it definitely looks like we're heading for a topside scuffle.
I would have predicted Caitlyn over the Ezreal. In terms of global play rate, Caitlyn is actually at the top of 80 carries in all elos right now. Once you get up to higher elos, she drops still into the top 5 for 80 carries. Ezreal's number 2 globally across all elos, but he drops down out of even, like, I think the top 10. He might be, like, 8th most played once you get to higher elos. So this is really digging into the deeper champ pool of Manui. Theoretically, though, we understand what this wants to do. I'm surprised that we don't see... You're right, they double down on the poke as opposed to, like, a roaming champion for Poom to link up with the Xin Zhao. Although, now that I look at it, I suppose we have seen metas where Karma Xin Zhao is a terror, as you just gotta, like, throw the Xin Zhao forward and say, go have fun. You can carry.
Yeah, one of the things that I am looking at from the side of FlyQuest right now is because the Xin Zhao is here already, you have a lot of melee or short-range champions that are not going to be super worried about his Crescent Guard that he throws up. One of the big advantages he has is he crushes down a lot of ranged compositions because they can't do damage to him. That's not going to be an issue for FlyQuest Challengers at all. And we didn't even talk about the fact that Quad got this Yone into Young's Azir. This is one of the classic counter picks just because you can't be bullied too hard, and you have a ton of playmaking ability, especially starting at level 6.
Also, shout out to Quad. First time we're mentioning him on the roster here. A newcomer to the NACL, joining us from Korea, has played in LCK Challengers. This is going to be his first stage game in the NACL, and on something like a Yone, very flashy champion, something that you can carry with. I think a lot of eyes will now be on FlyQuest's new mid laner.
It'll be interesting to see, right? There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not Quad and also Roamer could have been domestic players. And this is going to be one of those spots where we are really looking at Quad and Roamer to not just be middle-of-the-pack mid laners. We are really hoping that they are going to elevate everybody else by kind of showing them how it's done. And this is a good counter pick to hopefully showcase exactly how they can do that. But with the push already coming through, Poom and Manui get a little bit of vision down, but not going to be spotted on their way out. So there's no counterpunch coming out from FlyQuest Challengers. And I think this could be one of the things that will help out the top side more than anything, is if you know that Shaden is not going to be starting on the blue buff, he's not as likely to be pathing towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Rumble, you don't hate having your jungler come up here, but I also do still expect with the Cassante locked in now that we probably don't need to look top lane for the first 5 minutes of the game. Most likely going to be more of, hey, group up for the team fights and action elsewhere on the map. I mean, with Varus and Nautilus, that can make action happen. So I actually want Shaden to focus more on the bot side himself, not only because then you're countering the potential of blue side having a strong bot lane, probably pushing you in with the Ezreal and the Karma lane. but for the fact that you can try and engage on them with the Nautilus, who, by the way, has the worst Nautilus skin. I've been saying this all champs queue. I hate this skin. Chime, what are you doing? You're just a walking egg. All right, you know what? I had to get that
sometimes
out.
we like eggs, right? They are very tasty. They're my favorite breakfast
nutritious, good breakfast, but
but we'll see. We'll see how nutritious Chime is on this. I do want to give a little bit of credence to the difference between the two junglers as well, seeing as they are both here on the bottom side, is because we kind of look at this as, or at least I did, High versus Bjergsen almost in a lot of the storylines we've told about these players, right? Perry was a massive voice on the side of Cincinnati Fear during his season last time. He was maybe not the biggest captain, but he was an incredibly cerebral player that you always look at for a strong pathing and has really been trying to develop his mechanics over the past year, where Shaden is coming from the opposite side of it. He's been trying to go from an absolute stellar ball of mechanics to being able to work with the rest of his team to get his game plans done. And when he's been able to get those early ganks, he looks fantastic. Absolutely LCS ready. But if the early ganks don't go quite as well, suddenly that's where Perry can start to take over.
Perry's like the chess player that like plans out every move 5 moves in advance and takes a minute to do anything. And Shaden's the guy that just like, I'm just going to move the first pawn that I can touch and just kind of hope for the best, right? He's speed. He's all about it.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of sacrifices Shaden can actually go for over the course of this game. We do see both junglers on the top half of the map at about the time we were kind of expecting, but with the wave right here in the middle, it's not that easy for Shaden to actually get into the lane unless he wants to go via the tower.
Ooh, good engage starting off here. Flash forward from Chime. We are committing onto Manui, and that's going to be first blood of the 2024 season, picked up by Chime.
Wow, and we were just saying that Sajed and Chime weren't necessarily going to be the most lane-dominant duo in this, but they already come out swinging.
Yeah, we also have Perry onto Shaden, though. The jungler's fighting over the top Scuttle Crab. It's going to come down to which mid laner can make it there first. So far, it's Quad. So this should be earned by Shaden. But yeah, going back to that bot lane, Sajed and Chime, full committal. They wanted that kill, and they knew that they had it.
Yeah, I also really like this small move from Perry, right? We were looking at how he's such a cerebral player. He sits right on the other side, and Quad's like, come on, man, I know you're there. Here's a Scryer's Bloom to prove that I know you're there. We'll take another look at this first blood. And it starts off with a pretty good cancel from Manui, but Chime says, you're not getting away that easily. Flashes in for the little bit of extra damage and the root, and Sajed able to follow it right on up, even while rooted by Boom. I mean, honestly,
that arrow almost got it. Sajed was, the auto was in the air when the Ignite ticked down and took the kill. It's rough.
Fine.
We've all been there.
It's fine. I mean, now Manui doesn't have a flash. It's way easier to go for ganks from Shaden as well when they come down. And overall, it just looks like FlyQuest might be on another level than Disguise because every single lane is winning so far. Now, we do have to say, we should expect these lanes to be a little bit ahead. But I don't know if we should be expecting Young to be this far down this early in the game.
Yeah, you have the range matchup versus the Yone. Now, Yone, I mean, we say it's a range match or range advantage, but I always feel like Yone just ignores that because he can get on you so easily and play so safely, but he does get another wave in. We see the teleport back from Young. Perry and Shaden are still hanging around bot side right now.
Yeah.
As maybe a dive, but no, we're not going to go for it. Just another contest for the Scuttle. Does Shaden get it? He does, and he will just run away.
Now he's up 3 camps at this point, right? The fact that Quad was able to help him with the top Scuttle, and then there is no support coming out from Manui and Poom to help with the bottom Scuttle, just means that Perry is a little bit further behind. It also puts Shaden in a perfect spot to try and get some of these early Void Grubs. Now, if this is your first time watching, it is going to be a little bit of stacking damage that you're going to be getting on every single one of your attacks going against structures for the entire game. The more grubs you have, better it becomes. And if we get 5 to a team, then it becomes very powerful because you get the little Twitch chatters.
Yeah, the little guy, you just saw them on the screen. They blew up and they disappeared. I think we should get some more after this one goes down. But you spawn those once you hit turrets, and it helps you push in. It gives a complete different focus now for a team to go for. You can play more to top side as opposed to just Dragon stacking early. And we're not even trading Dragon for these. That is all 3 picked up by Shaden.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for free. He has an entire jungle to go back and farm as well. And Sajid and Tribe still trying to make something happen, but taking poke back and forth. I am really curious what Shaden's next plan of attack is. Top lane seems to be going well. Sturdy, we've already known, has been one of the best laning tops every single season, but he's also had a lot of struggle trying to convert that towards the rest of his team. Because let's be honest about it, Sturdy has had, unfortunately, a bit of a massive dysfunctional team throughout his career thus far. And this might be the first time we're like, this is it. If he doesn't get promoted after this team, I don't know what else he can do.
30's performance compared to like team placements has been insane. He always, as an individual performer, does step up and has impressive showings, but now he has the team around him that feels like they can run the spring split if they are set up to do so. Right now, they have a small gold lead, but they haven't been able to push it too much further. Now we're engaging here on the Sajed, but Chime says nope. And Flash is going to come up soon for Sajed, so I actually think that we see the bot lane start to play more aggressively once they have that defensive summoner spell. They've been playing really far back and just letting the waves push in. I think part of that is that they're afraid if we don't have vision on parry, we are very susceptible to the ganks. Once Sajed has that flash, I expect them to maybe play more forward.
It's coming up very soon, but I also want to point out in the mid lane how brutal this has been for Young, relatively far behind already in CS. And I mean, because of the nature of Yone, every single time a wave is there, you just see Quad go really aggressive, and he's hitting a majority of his third Qs onto Young, meaning that Young constantly has to play really far back. And now he's even going to get some wards down into Perry's jungle, who's continuing to fall behind in the jungle. And I don't know where he goes.
I mean, yeah, we'll see where Perry's next decision is. I think Dragon could be the next call for them if they want to try and make a play for that once they get establish control of the bot lane again. But I wanted to shout out Young because you were talking about him having a rough start here in the laning phase. The only returning member of the DSG Summer Championship run, they've had to do a full rebuild because everybody got promoted, right? I mean, that's what we want. We want to see those players move up to the LCS. Young has to get used to having different teammates around him.
True.
So we do expect to see a very different style from DSG in this split.
And we also got to give him a shout out for his performance in those finals as well. The finals we were kind of expecting to be an Evil Genius's favored series, but Disguise came out swinging. A big part of that was the fact that Young was able to outperform Ryoma, a staple of the Oceanic and later Challenger scene, even having some time to play in LCS, and Young just seemed to have his number from minute one. But as we talk about that, we do see him getting a lot of pressure. Both Chime and Shaden are here in the mid lane, but it's all warded up, so Young should be okay.
Yeah, they did spot Shaden right there, so Young's positioning it onto the correct side of the wave, as well as he has his own jungler on the top half. But Shaden's walking in and invading, and they might dive bot lane now because they have a mid lane roaming down. Yone, Vi, Nautilus, good luck, Boom.
All right, well,
never mind.
He had enough luck, right? You know, they ended up deciding not to go for it. It is worth noting that the dive ability of blue side bot lane is about the same as it was before, right? The terrain has not changed at all. It's just way easier to get to the red side, and so they will be backing away from that, saying, no, we don't need to do anything. And I gotta ask, Steve, I'm pretty confident when I look at this that I like FlyQuest the later this game goes. So the fact that FlyQuest are able and willing to say, no, we don't need to make this play, is a lot of discipline from the team coming out right out the gate. A lot of teams would just kind of go for that early on in the season in order to see if they can pull it off.
I mean, you look at the roster, a lot of these names have experience. Chime was playing in LCS, Shaden and Surdy, like we had mentioned earlier, were at that point where they were going to promote, but then the organization they would play for no longer exists, is no longer with us. Let's put a pin in that as we might have a gank up top side. And no play. We're fighting over the grubs. But as of right now, it is FlyQuest that have control. But even Quad has a lot of experience over in Korea, so I think that maybe that has something to do with it, that this team is not a bunch of rookies playing together. Sajed is the newest member, and it feels like he's getting kind of guided by these more veteran voices saying, now we're going to go in, now we're not.
Yeah, and Sajed also has to feel very good about the fact that on the other side of the map, yes, he has to deal with Tenacio's Cassante. Oh, no, just kidding.
That chain of corruption all out. Used. Tenacity's trying to get on top of him. Flash from Sajed. He's going to go down. Tenacity with a solo kill on the rookie AD carry.
I was just about to give him credit for the fact that he was trying to back up, and Tenacity says, nope, that's not enough. We're going to get you anyway. We knew that he was the only person that could actually be there for the play. Everybody else from the side of Disguise had already come towards the top side to see if they could be the ones to play for Void Grubs, but Tenacity does not need any help this time around. He was able to get the advantage up against Surdy, but he is able to find the solo kill against Sajed, and crucially, gets both of his summoners before the next dragon spawns.
We're getting a lot of firsts of this season.
We
got the first kill for a rookie bot lane. We got the first caster curse of a rookie right there. Young goes for the engage here onto Quad. Fate Seal to run away. Now flash forward from Chime. We're going back in. We're trying to lock down Manui, and he will go down. Shaden is there in time to follow up. and even flashes to safety. I don't think anyone's going down to FlyQuest side.
Wow.
They even get flashed out of Shaden. Chime played that incredible, and the follow-up from Quad and Shaden was great as well.
Honestly, fantastic synergy already coming through from FlyQuest Challengers on the first day of games. You don't expect this from teams early on in the season, but Shaden, Chime, Quad, all knew this play does not work unless we all commit to it. And they all went in, they got the kill, but crucially, they only got the one flash. Perry will not have it for the Dragon. We'll take another look at this. It starts with a play from Young, and Quad is like, yep, nope, I'm out of here. That's a couple too many people. And Chime's like, we're not done with this. Perry might have this crescent guard that we can't hit through, but that is not going to be helping Manui at all. He dies through that entire exchange, and now, I mean, that's just another flash coming through because 30 shows up on the scene as well.
Yeah, Manui jumped forward. They didn't have vision on Chime. It's one of those moments you can freeze frame and see that it was at this time he knew. Because he doesn't have an escape tool unless he flashes immediately. Reaction time wasn't quite there, so well on Chime to pull that one off. Now we see FlyQuest with a bit more of a gold lead. It's still been a slower game. They're inching towards that 2K lead, and they haven't looked at this Dragon yet. I'm wondering when we will finally look to prioritize this, because FlyQuest seem to have control of the Rift. I believe they got all 6 of the grubs. The current overlay doesn't show that. They did? All right.
Yeah.
Great start for them then. They can just continue to control these objectives.
I do want to point out something about this season that is going to be a little bit different from what we were doing before. This season is full remote for all of our players, whereas before, there is a number of players who were able to play from LA and play from the local server. In fact, some of the teams like Cincinnati here moved out here in order to be closer to the servers and get that better ping. Everybody here is playing from a bunch of different places. A lot of them are playing from their local colleges as well. And so I feel like, as a viewer, we need to be a little bit more forgiving when people are starting to miss some of these like reaction 50-50s, just because they are playing on a higher ping than we might be used to seeing them.
Yeah, and this ain't Masu. We don't have the Wi-Fi wizard with us anymore to get a puff from that. So we'll keep track of some of these decisions probably being attributed to things like that. We finally see the Dragon started up now. FlyQuest are on it. Perry knows that this is happening. Trap Barrage will not get a steal, and that is an objective secured for FlyQuest. So finally, we start the Dragon stacking. It will not be an Infernal Soul, as that is the second Dragon to spawn, but at least FlyQuest have that in their back pocket now. And the plates are gone, so we didn't actually take first turret by the time to stack full plates.
No,
I don't know. What do we think about that then for FlyQuest? We were talking about their synergy in the team fights. What about their map play? Are we impressed with it so far?
I mean, so far, we haven't seen a whole lot of, like, proactive plays necessarily, but they've also been mostly uncontested for a lot of these plays, right? We saw that when Manui and Poom came top lane to try and punish Surdy before the first set of Void Grubs, they weren't able to get anything off of it, and now it's going to be a question of how do they play without Surdy's teleport.
Ooh, how do they play in the 1v1 right now? Tenacity all out onto Surdy, does not land the Q3, and Surdy does walk away with his life and still has Equalizer as well. Tenacity does not have much to work with anymore. Let's see if we
really
the game come through. Young goes back in. Quad gets shuffled directly into Perry. Flashes away, and Chime lands the hook. Oh no! Locked down, taken out. Shaden credited with the kill. It will be traded for Chime though. Quad got away through all of that. Now Sajid's finally joined in. They're locking down Perry. Perry says the only way out is back in. I'll try and throw my life away for the team, and he does fall. DSG gonna want that fight back. FlyQuest feeling real good about it.
And it's already creating echoes of what we should be expecting this entire season, right? We knew Shaden and Surdy were going to have the mechanics to work together. We knew Chime was going to be good. But now that they have Quad stacking on top of that to also follow up all these plays, and so far, he's been beating one of the better domestic mid laners pretty handily with the help of the rest of his team. This is already a scary team. This was the one question we would have, is will Quad stack up who we were looking at? And so far, this is a resounding yes.
So far, Quad is looking stellar in his first stage game for FlyQuest Challengers. It is 100% objective control. They got all the Void Grubs, they get the Herald, they get the first Dragon, as well as a turret. So FlyQuest Challengers with full control as of right now, looking at fantastic. Let's get another look at this play. Young had flash, did not expect the hook to come through. We're not going to look at that because back to live, we got some more action here. As the over pushes, trying to get something done for the team. He is a tanky Cassante, though, and they actually don't have enough to kill him.
They
Flash
don't.
huge, but he's out of there.
Yeah, they know that Perry and Poom are on the way. They saw Manui in the river as well. It's like, no, we do not have the time to kill Tenacity before he gets reinforcements. So I like the look. Fortunately, Tenazi is also kind of being that guy a little bit, getting a solo kill onto Sajid in the other side of the map, and now getting away from the 1v3 relatively cleanly, already looking quite good. And so this is the one player that I'm kind of looking at on Disguise to potentially turn this game around. He doesn't have enough of a lead yet.
Looking at Tenacity's build, one of those new items picked up too helps with the survivability as he's leaning against that Rumble. The Kanik Ruker, and gives you a big Magic Resist shield after 12 seconds not in combat. That's what that Magic Resist shield you see on him is, if you're curious and wondering. You've not been keeping up with Champs Q and all the itemization. Also notable, we don't see the double support items. That's been something that's been kind of, you know, annoying in the meta right now, is the bot laners picking up support items. Maybe Manui and Sajid just had a gentleman's agreement. We're not going to do that.
Yeah. We'll see how effective that ends up being, because it is one of those things where it does mean there's less vision across the board. FlyQuest, I like this. They're moving in as a group. They have 4 members on the side of the jungle, and Perry has to be very careful. He sees Quab, but he doesn't know how many other people are there.
It doesn't get the red buff. It is secured by Shaden, and Quad even picks up the second buff. Yone going to feel really good about that one here. As we see a dragon sign in the bottom right, we're not going to talk about it.
Not going to talk about it.
Don't acknowledge.
Do you see the level difference between Sajid and Manui?
I see one.
2 levels.
Was it 2? Okay, it was 2, right before you said it.
10. Yeah, this is a huge experience lead coming out for Sajid at the moment, and it's a lot of effective gold coming through. We always talk about Ezreal, how effective they are on 2 items, but when Sajid is already this close to getting onto the second one as well, this is a really dangerous position, and as we know that the time in the top left is not correct, I believe, but there is the hourglass on the dragon in the minimap, so we know that there's a dragon coming up in less than a minute. This could be one of the few spots where Disguise can try and turn around, but crucially, Manui doesn't have flames.
Ooh, Quad is able to get on top of Boom. No flash on the Karma. Perfect pick on the enemy support right before the objective comes up. That should mean no contest from Disguised.
It almost feels like almost doomed at this point, right? This is one of the few places where we were looking at them to try and turn things around. Now they have to contest every single dragon from here on out, and FlyQuest with 3 dragons to their name. They already have the Hextech, they have the Cloud, and now it's going to be the Infernal coming up as well. It's going to be all FlyQuest all the time to this point. They scale well. Quad has been looking for these fantastic angles, and normally I look at Perry as the major voice coming through from Disguised, but he's been kind of put behind this entire game. He hasn't really had an opportunity to try and find any effective plays. And it looks like Shaden has really showcased how much mastery he has when supported by the rest of his team.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of hindsight, but when you look at the draft, you're picking Xin Zhao, a very active early game jungler with 3 lanes that you can't necessarily hard force dive or kills on. Now they're making something happen, though. We catch 30 all alone in the top half of the map. Chime says, "Snap, man, I cannot help you out there." So good pick, as we say it. Perry finds something on the map.
Which Baron is this one again? They have names. Is this all-seeing?
They do?
Yeah. There's Territorial, All-Seeing, and another one. Its name I can't remember.
Probably not All-Seeing, because I would assume that's the one that has the open pit.
I don't know. I actually just don't know. But this is definitely one where it will help out probably Disguise a little bit more, because they aren't going to be as funneled into a single choke point from the Equalizer like we were kind of expecting from the old style of Baron. This is one where they can play a little bit more to go in either direction, because there's multiple entrances to the Baron pit. At the same time, though, they're still down about 2,000 gold. They're still down 3 dragons at this point, and another one spawning in a couple of minutes. Yes, Manui is going to have gold for his second item at that point, but everybody else has already come past that. Perry is still missing on Titanic Hydra, where Shane has already completed the second Black Cleaver.
Yeah, those kills will definitely be helping out
Here
with
we
that.
go.
And now we drop the new Herald, and we're diving underneath the turret as well. Shaden trying to get onto Manui, that flash away. Young with the big shovel back onto Shaden, goes into the stasis. I believe this should be killing the jungler. There it is.
Oh, Quad!
Gets one, but Quad going deep under the enemy turret to equalize it back. Gets the kill. Manui down for Shaden right now. Equalizer down. No more kills to follow up, but Quad basically saving that play. If Manui can keep going forward, that could have been much worse for FlyQuest.
Yeah, that was a big commit coming through as well. Shaden missing the Q flash coming in, but because they have the Twitch chatters, FlyQuest Challengers will be able to take this one down as they come in, they get another mid-lane turret, continue to open the map, and it's going to be even more difficult for Disguise to contest any of these neutral objectives.
3.5k gold lead. The next dragon will be coming up here, and they're getting to 2.5 items. Let's take another look at this. Good for Manui to survive.
Yeah, as long as he does. One of the big reasons why this fight isn't a complete blow is Surdy doesn't get access to the equalizer this entire fight until the very end because he got picked earlier on. But Quad, imagine that damage he did with an equalizer stacked on top of it. That is at least 2 more kills getting picked up for the side of FlyQuest Challengers. And we know that even with what they had, everyone was low on Disguise. They got another turret. This is everything that FlyQuest could possibly want. And now there's like one more chance. We said Tenacity could be that guy. He is nowhere near strong enough to create pressure off the side of the map to allow us to the far.
So far, I think the main characters of this game have been Shaden, Quad, Sajed as well. Good nods to the bot lane here. Speaking of, Quad's in at 1v2, but now has the backup from the team. Perry and Tenacity need to get out of there, but we're engaging on a Young instead. Finish the Zonias. A second stasis right onto the equalizer. Does get away. He's fine. Tenacity pulls Shaden away. Surdy looking for the chase down. Young still alive, though. Go back onto Perry. The Xin Zhao bought so much space for the mid laner to survive, but they're not going to trade back onto Shaden. Manui and Tenacity almost had it, but just not quite enough damage. So FlyQuest Challengers get one. Cannot believe only one champion went down in that entire fight.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle that only Perry dies in that. Both Young and Manui getting out with blinking red health bars, but now they got to come out and do it again. We got to count the flashes a little bit because Surdy did use his. He won't be as threatening. But as we look at this fight one more time, we get to see the power of the equalizer stacked on top of the crowd control. Because as soon as Young comes out, he is already in a position where he basically can't move. He has exactly enough health after all the burn to come through, and Surdy missing the E flash means he gets to walk away. But also look at
He
Shaden.
also just committed. He thought the Leandri's burn would have it, so he just tapped him with the Q and then turned back. If he had kept roasting him, I think that's a roasted bird right there, but the Karma Shield is enough to keep him alive. Game of inches here. FlyQuest Challengers at the end of the day still do come away with more gold in their pocket. Could have been more than what they got, but not too shabby all in all. 4.5k gold lead, Dragons up in 30.
Yeah, and as we look, we see no flash on Young, no flash on Manui, no flash on Poom. In fact, there are no flashes on Disguise at all. You know who loves playing for no flashes? Vi and Yone. This is a perfect storm coming up for FlyQuest Challengers to take control of this. I'm expecting Quad to back away fairly soon, but instead, you know, FlyQuest, this is how far ahead they are. They don't even need to play for this dragon if they don't want to. If you want to put another 600 gold by taking a turret for Quad, that's totally fine, and they aren't even moving in just quite yet. Tenacity is finally matching the Yone.
We have the third dragon. This would be a stack for FlyQuest. Yes, you want to get it, and it's secured. Young actually getting the credit for it. Give up Perry's life. That is fine. Try not to lose any more. Oh, the blast cone on the Manui. Locked down with a chain of corruption. Sajid says, stay there. Let me auto this and get the kill. Now we're looking at Baron.
I don't even know who autoed Manui to get him on that side of the board, but that was insane. And now FlyQuest with 2 kills already, one of them being the jungler. They move forward towards the Baron. Even though they don't get the dragon, this is still going to be a Baron going over to them. And it's still just as good at pushing down all of these structures. They have everything that they could ask for in terms of the Void monsters. They got the Void Grubs, they got the Twitch Scatters, they got the Baron, they got the Rift Herald. This should be a monster pushing them for FlyQuest, already 6,000 gold.
I really want to take another look at a replay there to see. I believe it was Sajid that got the auto. If it was, what a play from the rookie AD carry to lock down Manui and then guarantee the kill. Let's see if we can get a look at that later on. But for right now, Baron is going to be incredible for FlyQuest Challengers. They continue to balloon their gold lead. They can look to now push down more and more turrets, as it is currently 4-2. And, also interesting to note, new item for Sajid here. This is one I was telling you about, Josh. This one stacks auto attack passives every other one. You're going to increase your damage. You're also going to increase your defenses. And we have seen it on auto attack stackers like the Varus. So fun to see these players picking up some of the new items.
I do like that coming through also as a semi-defensive item, right? When you are this far ahead, your only worry is that your opponents can kill you. If you just make it hard to do that, well, you are in a fantastic position. FlyQuest taking total control of the bottom side of the map. but this is one of the downsides because Quad teleported late and Sturdy doesn't have teleport. They don't have anybody who's currently matched Tenacity, so they are on a little bit of a timer to get things done. Oh, he's teleporting
They
already.
say, let's just send everybody down here. We're going to hard engage. Why not? We got the Vibe, we got the Nautilus. We're going to lock down Poom, as well as the depth charge onto Young and Perry. They get one. They're going to get two. Young with a good shuffle, though. They're under the turret. Can they trade one back? Shaden's still alive. Tenacity finally teleports in, but he says, where'd my team go? Where'd my turret go? Now it's in a 1v5. I don't know if I wanted this, but are we going to see a Cassante moment? Nah.
No,
they have too much damage. Tenacity goes down, and FlyQuest Challengers, they can push heavily with this Baron.
This should be the end of the game here, Steve. We got 5 members still alive. You got the Baron buff. You got the Twitch chat coming in to cheer them on and hit down the inhibitors as well. You still have 10 seconds left on Perry, and you can see how quickly they're taking down every single one of these structures. That is FlyQuest Challengers coming out swinging in every single position. As you called out, we got to give a lot of props to Shaden and Quad in particular this game for all the plays that they were able to make and prevent Young from really getting to play the game at all.
The mid-jungle combo from FlyQuest Challengers was what started off a lot of the action. Outside, I guess, the 2v2 kill bot lane. That was awesome from Chime and Sajid as well. But after that, it felt like the mid-jungle duo was what got FlyQuest their incremental advantages until at the end where it got very explosive. The big play bot at the Dragon into then that Baron push. We did not get a look at the replay, but I still think it was Sajid that got that auto over. Maybe we can confirm during the break. But either way, we are getting ready for that. So we're going to send it to a quick break while we're back for Game 2 right after this.